session 3 of looking at the 23rd Psalm. You restore my soul. It's at the very heart of God to restore. Even when the people of Israel were in exile because they had completely disobeyed God, gone after other gods, and he let them take the consequence. And yet even then, he was planning to bring them back. And perhaps the best known verse is Jeremiah 29:11. He spoke to the people in Babylon in exile. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And we know that God fulfilled his promise by eventually restoring his people to their homeland. Ezekiel 34, we have the imagery again of sheep and a shepherd, and God says, I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak. And then, of course, in Ezekiel 37, there's that wonderful picture of the valley of dry bones. And Ezekiel sees this in a vision. And as he prays, he sees the bones get flesh and sinews, and eventually breath, and eventually they rise up as a mighty army. Because God can bring restoration out of anything that might seem hopeless to us. His desire for restoration is shown in sending Jesus into the world. Colossians 1:21. Once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behaviour. But now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight. In other words, the whole aim of Jesus was to bring us back into right relationship with God. Restoration. God's also concerned about restoring us personally. Isaiah 61 we read, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners. When Jesus first preached in his own hometown, he read that passage and then he said, this is me. This is what I'm here to do. He didn't say it in quite those words. But that's what he said. God cares about every individual life and he wants each life to be whole. Now we know that life wounds us in many ways, wounds some more than others, but God wants to heal these wounds. He wants to bind up the brokenhearted. He wants to release the prisoners. Now he doesn't mean letting people out of jail, but he wants to set us free from the things that hold us back, like the fears that prevent us from living freely, or the attitude about ourselves that stop us from achieving what we're capable of. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. As he healed diseases back then, he gave people belief in themselves, he set people free from the influence of evil. He still does that today, and he wants to restore lives. And we've had the privilege of seeing many people set free and really blossom because they brought their hurts to Jesus and they dealt with them. And this is what he wants for all of us. We can't live over the top of our hurts. They just go down below where they simmer away. We can't deal with them by rational thinking because explaining why they happened doesn't heal the hurt. We can only deal with them by forgiveness, if needed, confession, if needed, and the healing power of Jesus. He longs to restore our souls.